So this was a question that came in, not through, I think, the podcast social media, but I think in my Instagram DMs directly. But of course, it's right in our wheelhouse, so we gotta talk about it on the show.
For sure.
And this comes from Mark, and I will make things vague because don't know if Mark's bandmates listen to this, but I've pulled most of the identifying information out. So hopefully he doesn't get into much trouble. So he goes, Adam, I'd love your opinion on something. I'm in a 90s cover band in Texas. We'll just leave it at that. When we play a 3-hour set, we usually do an hour and a half, take a 15-minute break, then play a second set. The rest of the guys in the band think it's important to use the break to chat with your friends that come to the show. I think the break kills the momentum of the show. I still think everyone needs a break to pee. I propose the idea of during the break, the whole band leaves the stage except the lead singer, who stays and plays 2 or 3 songs, piano and vocals. And then he takes a break and I come up and play 2 or 3 songs on acoustic. Then the rest of the whole band joins back and we kick off the second set. I am getting backlash from the band on this idea. What are your thoughts? Not sure how long your sets are and if you even take breaks. So the question is, do you take breaks? If so, how do you take them? So on and so forth.
And so should I just go ahead and I'll speak for myself. Acoustic show, I might not. I might not. I feel the room, I vibe it, I see whether I need to pee, and I do the right thing, depending. Quite often I don't. Quite often I'll play right through for 3 hours.
Sure.
And the difference here is when I'm acoustic, I am probably wallpaper music for at least some of the time.
Yeah.
Some of the time, even when it's a gig that I'm sold explicitly as wallpaper music, I will do some things deliberately to grab focus, just because I can't help myself. But even in shows where it's like the Dan show, people are getting drinks, people are chatting with their friends. It's not like I'm the full focus 100% of the time. When it's a band show, the expectation more is that the band is the full focus the full time. And when we do that, I do put a break in a 3-hour set. And that's how do I say this? It's not for the band.
Yeah.
Right. I think the audience needs a break. That's really why I do a break, is because the audience needs an energy transition that can let them have a breather from the focus on us and the energy from us and replenish themselves, get a new drink, get whatever they need to do. And so they make it through the rest of the night. I have definitely had times when we burned them out early and they didn't last till the end. And I strongly believe giving them a break makes a big difference in that.
Yeah.
So I know bands that in a 3-hour, they set their 3-hour show up like it's a 50-minute set and then a 15-minute break and then another 50-minute set and then a 10-minute break and then another set to finish the night. I feel like that's too much breaking. I definitely feel like there's a risk of piercing the energy bubble with a break. And so I don't want to do it twice, but I do want to do it once. And so that's the approach I bring to this. So let's pause there. I want to come back to the question of what's important to do during the break, because that's a crucial part of this too.
Yes.
And then the whole second question of, could you do a still show but a big energy change and have that be the same effect as a break? I think those are the other two pieces of what's in this question. So what's your general timing break strategy?
If the show is less than 2 hours, we'll do it straight through.
Yeah.
So 2 hours is kind of our longest contiguous set layout. Our normal run of show, because again, we're in the private events business primarily. So we set the stakes. I mean, if a client has a particular idea about something, we will typically accommodate. But the way that I position it is when somebody approaches us about a show, they are putting the trust in us to kind of tell them how the show should run. And so what we typically say is our traditional situation is 2 75-minute sets with a break in between. So that's 2.5 hours of music. And then, the break can be however long it, depending. And it's
things like a corporate event. There may be the CEO wants to say some words. Things like a wedding. That's when they're going to do the flower throw. Like it's not like the party comes to a screeching halt, right? It's programmed that you're going to
Right.
bracket some other content.
Yes. So for us, the break is a part of the show. It's going to be there because other things need to happen.
Yep.
So yeah, it's toasts. They're doing a
Right.
live auction. They're doing something
Yeah.
else. The break is a part of it. As far as club dates go, I think you're right on the money. I think, if you're doing solo acoustic, it's designed for you to be scenery
Mhm.
because there's only so much space that you as a solo performer can fill, especially if it's at a bar or a restaurant where just other things are happening.
Right.
But a band, demands attention because there's just more energy being thrown around the room. Mark is kind of positioning this as the break is for us. Somebody's got to
Right.
pee. There's, there's
Yeah.
things that need to happen.
Yeah.
But I think that is the wrong kind of mentality. I think the idea
Yes.
is that the break is for the audience, and you need to understand that your job at a public event where you are providing entertainment is to retain people so that they consume more alcohol on premises. So if all you do is play, you're not giving them an opportunity to go and do the thing that they need to do in order for this to all work for the
Exactly
the
right.
venue.
And the corollary, which is as you're setting up the break, the instruction is, all right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. Go get a fresh drink. We'll be right back.
Absolutely. So I think that there's valid points to both sides of this argument. Mark is saying, "Hey, I don't want to kill the momentum. Maybe we
Yes.
change the energy level."
Yep.
I think that's a good idea. I don't think it's a bad idea.
Nope.
But I understand that as a performer, you want that time to probably refuel in whatever way. It could be just
You might.
by stepping outside and collecting yourself and kind of mentally preparing yourself for the exertion you're about to put in for the next 90 minutes, or just to give the room a break, to
Yeah. Yeah.
take care of
Well,
whatever they need to take care of.
and as a data point, one among many, but a probably pretty compelling one, that business of having some people in the band do some solo work during the time that would otherwise be a break, that's what the Pork Tornadoes do.
Yeah.
And their kinds of shows are very different from those of us playing in bars, but
Mhm.
the concept would scale, I think, down to our size.
Sure.
But the question is, like, if there's something you want to use that break time for, well, before I get into that, I will also say one of the best things I've ever seen a band do during the break is put on house music in their PA that mostly was line dances,
Hmm.
right? So it's Cupid Shuffle and it's the wobble and it's things
Wobble.
like
Yeah.
that, right? So the girls get up mostly and do all of that during the break instead
Mhm.
of leaving.
Right.
It's really, really smart. I've never followed suit, but it's a clever
Solid
ch
plan.
clever choice, yeah. The thing I wanna come back to here is the band thinks that the break rest of the guys in the band think it's important to use the break to chat with your friends that came to the show.
Your friends.
Yeah. Right? Exactly. I
That's
would
yeah.
yeah, I
Red
would
flag.
not spend that time chatting with your friends. I would spend that time making new friends.
Uh-huh.
I would
You
spend that
should
time
talk
going
to you should talk to strangers.
100%, and you should go up to tables of people you don't know and say, "Hey, everybody having a good time?" Like,
Yep.
you're still on. You're still on the clock during that time. You're still the one running the party during that time, and
Right.
so, you need to be networking, in a way and we have had episodes about what networking really is. People are really
Sure.
messed up about and really
Yeah.
wrong about what networking means, but you need to be going and introducing yourself to people you don't know, going up to tables that have been, having fun and interacting with you and like, oh my God, you guys are so much fun to play to. Ah, so great. I hope you're having a great time tonight. Here's some merch. Here's our card. Just connecting, right? That is
Yeah.
the crucial thing to be doing during the break.
Yes.
Socializing with your friends will understand when you tell them, hey, it's a crucial moment for marketing and I'm on the clock right now, so I'll catch you at the end. Although the end is also a good time to be meeting people you don't know and connecting and all of that.
Sure. I mean, it's one thing to go over to a table of your friends, like, "Hey, thank you so much for being here," and take a moment to show your appreciation,
Totally.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't need to be your focus. And as we're talking about this, the other thought process, it really kind of boils down to what it is that you feel like is going to be putting your best foot forward in this context.
Mhm.
So think about this from the personalities of the band members to kind of keep that in mind. Would it be a better use of your time and energy to go into the audience and socialize with strangers? Or is that not necessarily like the temperament of the folks in your group? Is that maybe that's not their strong
Well,
suit? And if
fair.
that's the case, maybe doing the thing where you guys kind of walk off stage and somebody is kind of holding down the fort while other people are taking care of other things. Maybe that's a better use of the strengths of the people in that group. You know what I
Could be.
mean?
Could be. Yep. Yep.
So
I would
keep
say
keep
I would
that
say
in mind.
someone who has frontman, frontwoman chops, probably working the room is a really valuable use of that person during that break.
Mhm.
And I have said that, during when I've had my table of friends and I've like gone and high fived them, hey, and gotten feedback from them about sound. I run sound from the stage myself, so like I always go like, everything sound okay? Anybody like, oh, I could use a little more of your guitar. Ah, good, thank you, appreciate that. Great to see you guys. I got to work the room. And they're
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, 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 I could get them. Right. So then, I've checked in, I've touched base, I've appreciated them for showing up, and then I've given myself room to go schmooze. But yes, to your point, there are people there are people I've played with who I don't want schmoozing.
I'm not particularly good at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's I guess it's a skill.
So, like, in my situation, the way that I kinda think about this is that where would I be the most useful, you
Right.
know? So, would it be more useful for me to put on airs and kind of, like, go out and try? Because, again, I know where my strengths are, and I can be connected, and I can show gratitude, and I can do that very well in, like, a one-on-one situation. I am not the gregarious, like, walk into a crowd of people, say hi and be the the energy source in that way. But could I spend 3 to 5 songs on stage doing something by myself that is compelling and pulls the show forward in that time?
Mm,
100%.
yeah. Yeah.
Could I go up there and do against all odds and bring the house down?
Mm,
Yeah, I could do that way easier than I could, like, schmoozing.
yeah.
That's just that's where my strengths are, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's fair, and I think you need to think about that for your particular personnel, and both could happen at the same time. If you and I were in a
Sure.
band, like, deploy me to go greet people and be that guy while you're up there kicking butt and, turning like, "Oh, you gotta check out what Adam's doing." Like, you can work it together, right?
Right.
It's really not either or. But I do think the backlash from the band, and even the way the questions formulated by Mark kind of points to not having thought through the break strategically as a business opportunity.
Right.
So that would be my suggestion.
Well, and that's a really great point because when we members only do a public show, we do a bar gig, we do a ticketed event. The business mentality there is that this is a sales funnel.
Hmm.
This is a way for us to get in front of more eyeballs in order for people with money to book us for private parties. That is
Yep.
what we are there to do. And
Yep.
when you go into that with that objective, the way that you interact with the audience, it's the way that you interact with people in the crowd, the way that you talk to folks after the show, it's all very targeted for that objective.
Right.
So start the show with the end in mind. What are your objectives to do that show? Is it to fill up your mailing list? Is it to book more private shows? Is it to sell merch? Is it to make nice with the venue because you've never been there before? Go into the night with the end in mind
Right.
and
Right.
start there.
Right.
Focus all of your energy and intention towards those goals.
Yeah. And the presence of the word backlash in Mark's question here implies that if that strategic thinking has been done, the band's not aligned on it.
Right.
right? If everybody's clear what the outcome and objective is, what we're here for tonight, and everyone's aligned and you've, chosen what actions you're going to take, there's no backlash. There's just executing on a plan.
Right. And it could just be that they haven't had that
I think
conversation
they
before.
I
They
think they
haven't thought
probably
about it that
haven't.
way.
Yeah, I think they probably haven't. That's my guess.
So if you're getting pushback, what are you getting pushback about? Why are you getting pushback?
Right.
What is the concern? Is it that you don't get a chance to socialize enough? Is it that maybe as a vocalist you're not sure that you can do 3 hours without, giving yourself 15 minutes to recharge? What is that?
Yeah.
Or start from scratch like we were talking about and like say what is the goal of the show? And then, everybody says their piece. If you got a whiteboard, put them up on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
And then go, okay, what choices do we need to make in order to make these things happen?
Right.
And use that as your north star, your guiding light or whatever.
Exactly right.
You start talking about this and you've got your own opinions, but like as you go, it
Yeah.
starts to kind of marinate and you're like,
Well,
it,
yeah,
it goes places.
and it comes to this place that a lot of us it's one of the main theses of this whole podcast, which is that, a lot of these bands are getting to stage without a lot of strategic or brand thinking. And if you add a little of that in, then it really drives the actions you take and the choices you make and how you deal with breaks. I mean, it's on some level, probably everybody who's played in bands has some idea of what a break should be, but
Mhm.
none of them are aligned around a business strategy. So
Yeah.
do that, have that conversation.
Well, and it's funny because a lot of the bands who find success are doing these things and they don't know it.
True.
And intention matters, and being intentional about things is going to make you more successful.
Right.
It's not necessary, but it does give you more control over how you get to those goals and how you achieve those things.
Yeah, I do think there are some bands that are just lucky enough to be aligned, just happen to be without having to talk
Sure.
about it, but that's so rare. That's so rare.
Well, but even just the the exercise of having this conversation, like these are the things that we do, and not always thinking through them. It's just the way that we've always done them, and we did them because probably the band that we were in before did like sometimes you just stumble on the right
Right.
choice just
Yes.
just based on precedent or
Yeah.
other
Or or
things, dumb
or
luck.
2 band leaders ago, there was some guy who'd really thought this through, and I never had the conversation, but I learned from that guy.
Yep.
All right, well, le here's an opportunity to think it through for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just a scotch of intentionality can
Yep.
make a really big impact, even on things that seem as low stakes as playing a bar gig on a Saturday night.
For sure. For sure.
So, Mark, hopefully that helps. If I could offer like specific advice to you guys, your band, your 90s group, is to have that conversation.
Yes.
And don't start with, "Why don't you wanna do this?" Because
Right.
immediately you're putting the person who is
Yeah.
pushing back on the defense.
No.
But come at it from the other way, like, "Okay, we're playing at Carlos's barbecue palace on Saturday. What is the goal? What do we wanna
Yeah.
leave there with
Yeah.
besides our guarantee?"
And by the way, it's smart to make measures to determine whether or not you accomplished that.
Mhm.
So how many people are we going to give business cards to? How many people are we going to come away with contact information for? How many people, um, are we going to talk to about private events? The way businesses do this, and by the way, you're a business, is they actually set metrics that they can measure and count whether they accomplish those things. So it's really not just what who I chat with. It's what business outcomes am I producing?
Absolutely.